right, folks, we are back for another episode. Wow, we're already to episode 8, Jesse. Can you believe that?
I can't believe we can count that high.
Well, I mean, we're getting pretty close to my limit. I've never gone past 10.
I don't know. Have you never done the lucha rules where you got like a 20 count on the floor?
Not that I remember, but can't say it didn't happen. Actually, you know what? I think I did. Actually, MLW does that. MLW
I was going to say,
does
I think
20 counts on the ring.
MLW does it.
Yeah,
they're one of the few like mainstream places that, as far as I know, do the 20 count.
Which
well, okay, I take that back. Ring of Honor does it, but I think it's like only under like pure title rules.
Yeah,
or something
it's
like that.
under special circumstances.
Yeah, like it's a certain circumstance.
It was definitely it was obviously a first for me, but I mean, hey, you are asked to do many things in many different places, so you just got to kind of play the cards as they're dealt.
I remember doing it at a show where they were like, yeah, we're gonna do like this weird ruling, and I was like, I didn't think anything about it. And apparently they didn't tell the fans. So I get to 10 and everybody's reacting like, oh, it's a count out. 11. Huh?
You can hear the mental screech. You can hear record rip. Yo, has old boy been drinking?
I think my count ended up getting up to like 17. And I was like, boys, this is like a minute and a half.
Y'all are blowing me up from all this counting. Get back in the ring.
You know what? I hate to say it. I get more blown up yelling at people in tag matches than I do like the fish out of water counting spot or crazy pin sequence.
I will get blown up if it's a fish out of water spot and they don't call it in the back. And and so I'm not in position immediately. So I've got to do that big scramble to but
we did one on, it was the finish, and so it was 1 2 roll 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 ding ding ding, and the crowd was like, they were counting with me, so it was like, okay, they were in.
That's a good finish. I like that.
I'll send you the link later. It was a Survivor Series style match. So
nice. Oh yeah. Man. Oh, I do.
It was a pre-show match for Kapow, and I was the agent for that match. So I agented the eliminations and the order, and then had to go out and ref it. I was like, oh. So now I know how Ayers and those WWE guys feel when they have to agent their own matches.
I'll have to ask him someday. Maybe somehow we'll. That's to be continued at another thought.
We'll put him under a mask.
Yeah, we'll give him the Iggy. It'll be Jason Harding.
Oh, I was about to say, like, you can call him Jason Harding. Dragon Gate.
Yeah. We have Dragon Gate referee Jason Harding, who we haven't seen in a long time.
It only works if he has the frosted tips and the little soul patch that he had.
I need to tell him about that. If he wasn't at TV, I would video chat him right now and say, "Hey."
Oh, he would.
He'd pop for that.
He'd be like, "Come on, guys." Okay, look, I can't say anything for like a good chunk of my career before I had common sense. I had the worst taste in facial hair. I had a mustache and like a goatee and nothing else.
To be fair though, he was, you're talking late 90s, early 2000s, when he was doing that. So it was the look. It was the look. It was the look. Well, he gets a pass. He gets a pass, but I'm never not gonna bust his balls because he's my friend. You have to bust your friend's balls. So love you, brother. I don't know if you watch or not, but love you. Anyway, so let's get on topic tonight because we got a lot of ground to cover before we unveil the big announcement that we made earlier today on Facebook and Twitter. We got 3 very big guests that we are going to announce at the end of this show. So like most of your indie shows, you got to sit through, matches you didn't really come to see to listen to the match you do want to see. So
then you've got to sit through a 45-minute intermission with a raffle.
Yeah, with a raffle, and then we got to kill some time on the microphone so that the guys in the back can finish calling their spots to each other, and then we got to wait for the sound production to cue in because of the pregnant pause that always happens.
And I love the fact that we've never worked together, but we literally have the same experience.
Brother, the dancers change. The dancers change, but the song never does.
Down here, there's a promoter that literally would not come back from intermission unless we had sold X amount of tickets or made X amount
of money.
That is
so carny, but so great at the same time. Like, on one hand, I'm upset by that. On the other hand, that's great.
I live in Tennessee. Like, we have probably some of the carniest people. We also have
the carnies.
As I'm hoping to
shout out to Iggy and Awful. Love you guys.
And I'll be seeing Carrie Sunday. So,
but anyways, back to we got off the sidetrack there. We had so much fun in our last episode that we actually dropped earlier today, talking about our movie favorites and our guilty pleasures, that we decided to take it another step further. So we're going to kind of do a rerun in a sense, but instead of movies, we're going to be talking about television shows, because we love all things media, be it film, be it pod, be it television. We love it all. And TV, especially being kids of the 90s, we had some bangers in our day.
Oh, so boy,
Jesse, I know you told me today when we came up with this idea that you had a couple you wanted to pound on. So right away, hit me with something. What was a favorite for Jesse growing up?
Okay, so what I was talking about was something that is a current interest of mine.
Oh, that's
yes.
Fine. That's fine.
Okay, so I have a weird fascination with alternate history theories and stuff like that. Like, kind of like how I'm a fan of Fallout, where at a certain point the transistor was never invented and it branches off to like this nuclear powered age in America. So there's a show on Apple Plus called For All Mankind, and
I've heard of it.
Basically, the Russians beat the Americans to the moon.
I can see how that automatically gets your attention.
It's very way out there with some stuff, but it basically follows, okay, well, the Russians beat us to the moon. What are we going to do now? Well, we're going to put a base on the moon. We're going to do this, and this. And it is...
Because that happened, the other way around. We went up there, so the Russians had to one-up us with a missile base, Totally happened.
Totally. It's a very fascinating... it's a very fascinating show. Like, there's one complete season right now. Season 2 is currently airing. I think episode 3 drops, today's Wednesday, so Friday. So I can't wait, because they've done a thing where, like, they got the Apollo program up to like the 70s, then it fast forwards into the 80s, where now, spoiler, like, the space shuttle can go to the moon. So it's a whole, like, really, it's incredible, and it's very far-fetched, but it's still rooted in reality of, like, the NASA stuff, and, like, what could have happened, like, if the funding had stayed there. Like, there's like 37 Apollo missions for this thing, and like the space shuttle starts at the tail end of that. It's a lot of fun. Also, soundtrack is amazing. They've hit the 80s, so there's like the quintessential 80s songs that are in there that I'm just
a lot of synth.
Well, there was a teaser at the end of season 1, and it was Tears for Fears, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, and I was just like, such a good one. So that's one of the current shows that I'm watching, and then I'm also on to WandaVision.
I have not started that.
Highly recommend it.
The only thing I can really say about WandaVision, to double back to our good brother Mr. Ayers, is that I'm amazed by his ability to refrain from spoilers, because if that show had like a number one fan, he'd have to be it if you watch his social media.
So
he goes nuts, and then he did like a podcast about it the other day too.
Here's the thing: my roommate is like a Marvel savant. He knows so much about the Marvel universe. I feel like if I put him and Ayers in the same room,
oh, the nerd would be spilling.
The nerd would be amazing.
So like, I remember he was so proud of me the day I told him I'm going to actually finally sit down, because I had never like really paid attention to them. I'm a DC guy at heart, but that's not fair. You know. I hate Captain America. I'll just be blunt. I think he's too white bread. I hate Captain America. I hate Leonardo, the Ninja Turtle. I hate Superman. I hate characters where the right thing to do is just second nature to them. There's no internal struggle with, like, say, like Raphael in the movies, or Wolverine, or Batman, where the protagonist clearly is struggling to maintain the tried and true course. I consider that to be a hero over the guy where it's just what they do.
So,
you know,
with the Marvel
there's no hero's journey there for me.
With the Marvel movies, they do such a really great thing with Cap, where it's like, yes, he's doing the right thing, but then at a certain point, it's like,
he's just so. And I agree, but overall, he's just too white bread for me. But anyway, I remember him being very excited for me when I finally told him I was going to sit down and actually watch the Marvel movies from start to finish, since they had just gotten done doing Avengers, the Endgame 2.
Endgame.
Yeah, Endgame was finally done and out, and I was like, all right, now that's a good place. It took me about 2-3 weeks, maybe even a month.
Yeah, but if you space them out.
And I did it in a specific order. I did didn't watch it in the release order.
Did he give did he tell you to do it in?
He recommended that I do it in the release order so that everything would make more sense. But I took the advice of another friend that he advised me to watch it from, there's a list,
the continuity
out there, the continuity order, and that's what I was going to say.
Did he give you the continuity list? Because it's one thing to watch it like as a theatrical releases and blah blah blah, but if you watch it in the actual like flow, because like the end of Ant-Man,
I need to know
this.
I need to know what's going on here more than I need to be excited about the new movie drop, and that's why I went with Zoran's advice over Jason's advice. Which I'm sorry, Jason, I love you. The one and only time I will never listen to you. I swear.
But the fact that you're even giving the Marvel movies a chance is
it's not that I didn't like Marvel. It's just it wasn't. It was kind of like Back to the Future. It was not my thing growing up. But I like Iron Man. I like Thor. Spider-Man's my favorite because I go back to what I keep saying: the hero's journey, especially with the way Tom Holland has done it. He carries the weight of being Spider-Man at that age as well as anybody possibly could.
I hate to say it, but I honestly think he is the best version of Spider-Man.
He is the best version of Spider-Man, hands down.
I like Tobey Maguire, but I just feel like
Tobey's after him, in my opinion.
He has the snarky sarcasm that Spider-Man has in the comics, so it's like, oh, that's perfect.
And he looks just like like a middle school kid, which helps when I hearken I said this is gonna be a TV episode, and here we are talking about movies, but
we're gonna circle back.
Yeah, but I hearken back to the scene in Spider-Man Homecoming, or which was the first? Was it Homecoming? The one where he takes the girl to the prom or whatever?
I think so.
Yeah, where he gets trapped. He gets trapped under the weight, and he's just trying so hard to lift all the rubble off, and he's thinking back to what Tony Stark had said to him at the beginning of the movie, and just the anguish in his screams and the way he's trying. I said, yes, that is Spider-Man. Yeah. That is exactly who Spider-Man is.
I also thoroughly appreciated that Michael Keaton was in that.
Dude, let's talk about it. And then the line, some asshole in blue tights, just, I was like, that was not meant to be a shot at Superman, as and him being Batman, but I'm playing it that way. You know,
apparently, Michael Keaton would mess with them in between takes by leaning in real close and going, I'm Batman.
And he is Batman. He is Batman. He is not my favorite Batman, but he is default Batman. I am a Bale Batman guy. Some people are going to boo me for that. I like CrossFit Batman. I like CrossFit Batman. But anyway.
Why do you sound like you're gargling with a mouthful of marbles?
I love those two. I love the college humor Batman spoof so
Shitty
much.
Batman.
Oh, God. Where are the other drugs going? Anyways,
I'm glad somebody else has seen those.
I got those saved on my YouTube, man. Like, I watched those. Oh, God. They are always good for a chuckle. But anyways, TV shows. We're going to get on track. We got to, But for me, as I
said, WandaVision, not talking about anything about it other than it's wealthily executed. The twists are there. I can't wait. I want more.
I will get around to watching that here in the coming weeks. I'm probably going to wait. I'm going to probably wait for
Elizabeth Olsen is just, she's so good and she's adorable and she's perfect.
The only Olsen sister that's still alive, right?
No, the other two are still alive. She's the only one that's not had any substance abuse or
I thought the Olsen twins were dead. I really did.
Their careers maybe, but
well, I don't know if they ever bring Tales from the Crypt back. I'm sure one of them could double as the Crypt Keeper now.
Okay,
that is my advertisement for the fact we're going to have the human heat machine on here. We're going to have Tristan Hayes here at some point, and he's going to be way worse than that.
So since you decided to bring that up, do you remember the Mary Kate and Ashley movies that came out, like the little educational movies from like the 90s? Which one?
There were 46 bazillion of them.
I had the space one, so it was the only one I watched.
Of course you did. Boy, you are nothing if not consistent. But if we're going to talk about TV shows from my end, it probably has to start with either DuckTales. Woo!
Yes, dude, one of the greatest theme songs of all.
Yep. Dude, I have a videotape somewhere in my vault. It was just this little mini, like compilation section. It's the one where they go to the lost world and they're trying to bring back the booby bird and they crash land. Pretty much it's like Jurassic Park 2. Come to they crash land on the island and they got to get off and and all that. And then there's the one where they go to Scotland to his old like Scottish home and the castle's haunted by druids and a ghost dog. Oh man, so good.
That's one of those shows you don't realize how like influential it was on everybody until you're in a locker room and somebody just starts playing the song and you start hearing everybody.
I was a Gizmo Duck guy. I loved Gizmo Duck. Blather and Blatherskites. But it would either start there or it would have to be The Simpsons. If nothing else, my television experience going back, it would probably be The Simpsons as the big one. And there were others that I watched. Okay. But that one was the one I lived for.
Okay. So if you're a Simpsons fan, where is the cutoff where you feel like, okay, this is where things start getting like,
I'd have to go back and look up exactly where, but in my mind, when they stopped having a point to the show and they started trying to kind of copy Family Guy for their cutaway humor a little bit, that is probably early 2000s is probably where things kind of went sideways for them, but they're getting better again.
Yeah, a lot of people say it's like season 8, season 9. And then there's a stretch, and then my roommate has binged all of them. He's like, there's like 2 seasons where I think Conan O'Brien comes back or he helps, and then the writing drops, and then he said like these last couple of seasons that have come out have been pretty good.
When it stopped being like social commentary to a degree and it just started being nonsensical whatever humor, that is kind of where they lost it, because there was a time where the Simpsons would kind of do the heart of the cards thing and build the humor around it, but then all of a sudden And again, it was probably early 2000s.
Okay.
They just kind of just started throwing stuff at the wall.
So from what you remember, what is the best one-off Simpsons character?
Oh, best one-off Simpsons character?
They've only appeared in one episode.
Oh, that's tough. Probably the monorail guy is my favorite.
Ooh, solid choice. I go with Hank Scorpio.
Hank Scorpio is also good.
That is probably one of the best episodes. Just him with the flamethrower at the very end. Come on, Homer, come join me.
And then I think there's one where Otto meets Metallica. You guys totally like changed my life. You probably don't remember this, but I was in the crowd of it. Metallica rule. And they're like, oh yeah, 70, 79 at we were gonna quit the band until that happened, just shit like that.
Dude, the musical guest that the Simpsons wrangled was incredible.
Oh, the one where they got in sync and they're doing the boy band. Oh God, that was so good.
Well, then you should probably know what my favorite Simpson episode is.
You're asking me, gun to my head, to think of everything that's ever happened on The Simpsons ever.
It's season 12, episode 2, A Tale of Two Springfields.
East Springfield and West where they get the zip codes or whatever.
New Springfield and Old Springfield.
Yeah.
With special guest The Who.
The Who, yep.
Which, fun fact, only John Entwistle and Roger Daltrey provided the voices. Pete Townsend didn't. His brother Paul did. That's why Pete doesn't sound
straight. Yeah.
But it's one of the funniest lines. Like the Who's trying to get them like, oh, tear down this wall. I was like, oh, we'll play Magic Boss if you tear down this wall. Pinball Wizard. And Pete goes, oh hell, I'll do it myself. And he turns the amp up to 11, and they hit the power chord for one.
Yeah.
I just think, as a Who fan,
the one where Homer goes to Rockstar Camp and Mick Jagger is teaching him how to do it. And, Tom Petty's doing the class on lyrics and just all the good stuff. And I think Lenny Kravitz is in there too.
Dude, Simpsons. The thing about the Simpsons is they were such a pop culture juggernaut. It's like if you think of anything from the 90s, like what some of the things that were just always there, like you always saw something with the Simpsons.
I think the Simpsons, they're a victim of surviving the inevitable come back down to earth. Because all things that go up must come down, and usually when things come down, they crash, they burn, and they go away. The Simpsons went up and they came down and they crashed, and instead of learning how to fly, they started learning how to drive. And they were figuring out exactly how to still be and not be the biggest thing on television anymore. They're still culturally relevant, but they're here instead of here.
But it's like when you'd go to the grocery store, you would see Butterfinger BBs, and there's Bart Simpson
lay
on
a finger on my Butterfinger.
Dude, if they brought back Butterfinger BBs, I'd be so happy.
I noticed that when the Simpsons stopped being the partner for that, the Butterfinger just didn't taste as good.
Shit.
You got a little bit of brain matter there behind you on the wall there. I think I just blew your mind.
Oh, you're not wrong. I'm not gonna argue against that because
resistance is futile, my friend.
Oh.
There's that the Venus de Milo, the Gummy de Milo episode where Homer's accused of sexual harassment. It's like, no, I was just grabbing the gummy bear thing,
Okay, so you can probably guess my second favorite episode.
I can't guess any of your favorites. Stop setting me up like that. I'm failing miserably at it. Just come out and say it, man.
The one where Homer becomes an astronaut.
Oh, well, I was wondering when that was going to come up, but when it wasn't your first favorite, I was like, wow, okay.
It's a tie.
The Blue Danube. He's eating chips with the Blue Danube. Chomp, 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 chomp. Got the ants in space, you know. All right, Homer, we're gonna be astronauts. You know.
Yup. Just the best thing is, like, in Rod we trust. Oh, they were gonna show close-ups of the Rod.
No, my favorite Flanders, the Flanders children's speech is saying is in the movie where Ned is praying with them at the fast food restaurant, and Bart's skating through the town naked, and he hits them.
I know exactly.
And he flies into the window and does the spread, and thank you, oh Lord, for this bountiful penis. And they're like, bountiful penis. It just pops me. They actually did
that one. Oh God.
I wasn't overly impressed with the Simpsons movie, but there were a couple of things in there that made me chuckle. But Homer flipping the bird as he's going down the hole.
Yeah.
Oh
God, the skiing episode. It feels like I'm wearing nothing at all.
Allison and I will always do the stupid sexy Flanders thing at random. Stupid sexy Flanders. That the one
somebody at a show had a stupid sexy Flanders pin on their fanny pack, and I wanted it.
I can't believe nobody has done a Ned Flanders gimmick. No, I'm not going to out anybody for doing it because I don't think he's directly doing it, but I could definitely project a lot of Ned Flanders onto someone that is wrestling a character right now that is very fatherly. But
yeah, I think I know exactly which one.
I don't want to put that on him because if he's not trying to do that, I don't want to like screw up his deal.
The mustache, though.
Yes, but Ned Flanders is great.
Dude,
the episode
they reveal that he's like 60 something, and Homer's like
shredded, and apparently he's. I don't want to seem like I'm obsessed with it, but he's well endowed. Apparently, they did the blur where it's like literally just a beehive, but another episode that jumps out to me just because it was so well done was the episode where they discover an old record of Homer's, and it's the B sharps.
Oh yeah,
and it's paralleling the Beatles. And I just thought that was so great and really well done. And they, ending on the top of the quickie mart or whatever, they're doing the little quartet thing, and such a great episode. And Chief Wiggum's trying to get back into the group.
Man, Ralph Wiggum has some of the most quotable things that you can quote at inappropriate times.
My cat's breath smells like cat food.
Me fell English, that's impossible.
I bet my Wookiee.
Thank you, Super Nintendo Chalmers. Did he just say Super Nintendo?
You choose me?
But apparently somebody made that card to give out for Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's great. I told my girlfriend if we got onto this subject, knowing full well we were going to talk about The Simpsons, I told her that I would bring up the one that it's our way of small talk. We'll actually do the Ralph and Lisa walking home. And he's like, so, do you like stuff? Yeah, stuff's good. We'll hit each other with that back and forth, just goofing around. But The Simpsons is probably the most quotable television show of all time.
I feel like you can find something from The Simpsons and apply it to everyday life. I love the fact that there is a Simpsons wrestling Twitter where somehow they managed to get Simpsons and wrestling stuff together.
Yeah. Man, it's insane what The Simpsons have been able to do. Hey, I need to pause this really quick. My computer's come unplugged, so let me pause this real quick. Okay, sorry about that, folks. If my computer gets unplugged, it's very old, as you can probably tell. It dies pretty quickly. But anyways, we were talking about the Simpsons and just all the spoofs they've done and all of the just all the crazy things they've done. Treehouse of Horror is like its own thing. And I probably got burnt out on it a couple of times, but overall
those first few were just absolute.
And bangers. I loved the fact that they had to open up with like disclaimers a couple of times because people were complaining that the Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors was too scary.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing because you air that now, nobody even bats an eye, but back then, that was scary,
Yeah.
But
lousy smarch weather. Well, what month is it?
I know.
March.
You killed me.
It was the 13th day of the 13th month. Oh, stupid smarch weather.
I wasn't ready for that.
The other gag that's in that is the warning right beside the furnace. Do not touch, Willie. Great advice.
Great advice.
I guess that
I cannot believe how long they have been able to get away with groundskeeper Willie. The fact that they have done that for so long and not gotten just absolutely roasted is amazing to me. I love groundskeeper Willie.
He is a highlight.
Oh God! And they don't use him too much, so that when they do use him,
he's an attraction.
Yes. See, you don't have to be the star of the show to get over on the show. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Just ask Willie.
Okay.
So you used me, Burns. You used me.
Oh man.
Oh, the tears. The tears are real.
And again, anybody that watches this is going to know. I hope anybody that watches this knows exactly
of the Simpsons references. I'm hoping, but moving on from that, I suppose
we have to get. Okay, this is not a Simpsons stan episode. We
do stan the Simpsons. But anyway, we've both done a love. How about a guilty pleasure? What's a show that you should be ashamed to watch, to admit you liked watching, but you're not ashamed to admit you liked watching?
Oh, to be honest, there was a few. If I go with the Nickelodeon stuff, there's a really obscure show, and I don't know if you ever watched it, but it was called Caitlin's Way.
Can't say I've ever heard of it.
Yep. It was just one of those shows I just really enjoyed watching. It was a guilty pleasure as a kid because like nobody else liked that show, as far as I know. But it was one of those Nickelodeon drama shows, and I liked it. So we'll get to better guilty pleasures when my brain wants to actually function.
For me, I would have to say the first one would have to be. Remember back early 2000s, it was they had that roller derby show.
Yeah, it was like 2000.
Yeah, it was on like TNN or whatever. Roller Jam, dude. You want to talk about a show that was just clearly trying to be wrestling without having wrestling? That was it. Like everybody was trying to.
Okay, do you remember the Rollerball movie that came out in like 2001?
Yeah, vaguely.
Paul Heyman and Shane McMahon are in it.
Yeah. I never watched it. I remember seeing the ads for it and saying I'd go see it, and I never did.
Yeah, because
I didn't miss much because there wasn't a Rollerball 2 that I'm aware of.
Yeah, because apparently, like I remember the actors all appeared on WWF television.
Yeah,
there's a scene with Rebecca Romaine Stamos knocking back beers with the APA.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I could see that being a legitimate thing too. I feel like if anybody could pound
apparently
beers,
it was.
Yeah, it'd be Rebecca Romaine. I feel like she could throw a couple back and be waiting on you to finish your first one.
To quote Conrad Thompson, "Roll Tide."
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
But yeah, Mystique was probably my favorite role of hers.
Mm-hmm.
Roll all the tide. Ooh. But as far as guilty pleasure go, I remember being really into it just because, it was fast paced, it was violent. I think they had like a women's division there that, of course, they left little to the imagination with their outfits, and it was perfect for that, that early teenage, middle teenage years, all right.
Okay, so if we're on the topic of like the TNN like athlete shows, do you remember the basketball one with the trampolines?
Very, very, very,
Slam
very
ball.
vaguely. Yeah, Slam Ball. Yeah, I remember that was like WMAC Masters. The karate show. It was kind of like Mortal Kombat, or they had the little belts and they fought for the crest, and the one who got all the crests was the grand champion if he could beat.
I don't think I ever watched that.
It was Mortal Kombat Light. And it had a lot of actors that were actually in the Mortal Kombat movie, or that would go on to be in the Power Rangers. That was a thing. But I remember really being into that as a kid. I think it's, and I want to say it's out there on YouTube somewhere. I can go back and actually watch a few of the episodes. Some of the names were pretty good.
All right. So let's stick it right in like the 90s. Like let's get back to our wheelhouse of like the 90s, because apparently you and I have like a lot.
I have lots of stuff. It's just the first couple are 90s, but I mean, I can throw Orange Is the New Black out there. I can throw Cobra Kai out there, which I live for. I can throw The Boys out there. Like,
haven't watched any of those.
Oh, I'm going to literally drive the 6 hours to your house and bitch slap you. How can you have not watched like the biggest shows? Don't you give me the Just Bring It stuff.
No, it's the yeah, no, they're not shows that have made it to my my playlist yet.
Definitely check out The Boys. Definitely check out Cobra Kai. The Boys, simply because of what we were talking about before we recorded about the dinner table conversation. Yep. It's along those lines, but not necessarily that subject matter. But it'll
be something I enjoy. Yeah,
you will. Yeah, you're going to thank me for when you start The Boys. But we can go 90s.
Well, I was gonna say the reason why I don't catch a lot of stuff is just because I'm so busy. I don't watch a lot of TV, so I try to pick like a day, and it's like if I'm not busy and I can be lazy, then I'm just gonna be like, all right, what am I binging today? What am I gonna?
And that's usually how I do it. Like there are specific shows that I will say, oh yeah, we're watching that. But overall, like lately, I've just been watching hockey or football just ended, but it's usually a lot of sports for me, unless something catches my attention, like Cobra Kai did, because I'm a Karate Kid fan. The Boys was recommended to me by a friend of mine, by Zoran, and he was right, because it's taking it. At first, I thought it was just taking the piss out of superheroes, but then it was more than that.
Yeah, is that the one that has oh god, I just blanked on his name. He's in almost like all the great nerd movies now.
Oh, are you talking about Giancarlo?
No,
because he's in it. Elizabeth Shue's in it. The guy
Carl Urban.
Yes, he's in it.
Yep. Yeah, him. Anything that he's in, immediately I'm like, yep, I gotta watch that.
Yeah, he's definitely. But if you're determined to get a 90s out of me, I can get more 90s than the Magic School Bus. I will always go to bed. I will always go to bed. Me for the Magic School Bus.
Dude, that show was.
I learned more from that show than I did in any science class.
you learn more from that or Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Bill. Yeah, that show.
Brother Bill. But yeah, I remember like I was big into Magic School Bus. Then, oh God, I got big into Hercules, The Incredible Journeys, because there wasn't a whole lot to watch on Sundays, and Sundays was usually where I watched the most television all day. There was that and Xena.
Ooh,
Xena was all right. Yes, sir. But I would have to say the X-Men animated series.
Very solid choice.
So imagine my pleasure when I discovered later on, when I got into Resident Evil, that I recognized voices of both Jubilee and Jean Grey, respectively, and in title roles.
Yeah.
The actress that plays Jubilee in the show went on to voice Claire Redfield in a lot of your Allison Dooley or Janie or no, it's not that. I'll IMDb it, but she played Claire Redfield, and I recognized that voice right away. And I didn't really recognize the Jean Grey voice until I heard that cry of pain that she does. That and I was like, hey, that's Jill Valentine, or that's Jean Grey, because she does that in the show, and it triggered my ears.
So you've obviously done this. Like you hit that rabbit hole and you find like the voice actor, then you start going, oh my God, they did that character. They were in this, dude. So me watching Family Guy, there's an episode where they're showing the news anchors.
Allison Court. I knew it was Allison something.
Watching the news anchors, and I kept Diane, the news anchor, I kept like, I know that voice. It's Lori Allen, voice of the boss from Metal Gear 3.
Side note.
Somehow we're always gonna get back to Metal Gear somehow.
They always talk about the boss being charismatic. Did she ever strike you? She was a lot of things. Did she ever strike you as charismatic or overly energetic in any way? I always found it odd. Thank you. I always found it odd that they would say that the boss was like, she had more charisma than anybody had ever met. I was like, she's kind of dry and joyless. And
if you look at it, we're seeing the boss after like a lot of really bad stuff had happened. So
true.
Like charisma has like died.
You said charisma. You freaking nerd. I love you. But if I'm gonna be talking about 90s cartoons, I don't think there's one that resonated more going forward, especially considering who's in it, than Batman the Animated Series. That and X-Men, I will always say those were not cartoons that were necessarily made for kids. They were just the medium that they wanted to use to do shows about those characters, and they didn't really care a lot about the content rating. There was some stuff in there that you would not expect to have happen in a kids cartoon that they went for. X-Men in particular, the overt, prejudices and things of that nature that went on in the backdrop of that. The excessive use of violence and guns in Batman, they weren't even trying to hide it. It wasn't the 60s bang, pow, wham, going on. They got into it.
And
it was great.
Were only rated like Y7.
And they went for it too.
Yeah. And you got to think about, there was a lot of just even the G-rated cartoons that were on Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network that we go back and look at it now, we're like, wow.
You appreciate it more.
It was not just jokes, but there was subject matter that went over our heads as kids, and then as adults we're like, oh,
Because like I said the other night, we you go back and like, oh, they slipped some stuff in for us in there for us for 20 years down the line.
Yeah, like learning a lesson, like, oh my God, that did teach me something.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Batman was definitely a big one. I love me some Batman.
See, I didn't get into those kind of shows when I was a kid. I only got into like the comic book stuff as I got older, because I could have an appreciation for it.
Yeah.
I have to keep shifting around because I'm an old man and everything hurts.
Same. I'm sitting Indian style and I'm like, oh God, I need to straighten my legs at some point, and I'm trying not to jack the screen around too much, you know. But
same thing.
But what about you? Like, do you ever? What was your kind of like your go-to? Because we're talking about shows that were kind of like you get off the bus and you streak into the house type of shows. What was your, hop off the bus and turn it on show?
So a lot of times I would be coming home when Nickelodeon would be doing Slime Time Live.
There you go.
Yeah, and I always remember watching that. I was a Nickelodeon kid, so I really enjoyed a lot of the live action shows. The animated shows were cool, but Mystery Files of Shelby Woo, Secret Life of Alex Mack, Alan Strange, all the live action shows. I really loved those. There's something about them that I always thought was cool. And there was a show that I was obsessed with because it was space related, but it was one called Space Case. And there was one character that was on there for one season, and she was from Saturn, and she had rainbow hair. Had the biggest crush on her. Turns out she was on Firefly.
Now, which one was that?
Kaylee.
Okay.
Yep. Jewel City.
So
I didn't make the correlation until I got a lot older, and I was like, oh.
So I didn't have a moment necessarily with all of that backdrop to it, but I said in a previous episode that I was a big Hook fan, and the actress that plays Granny Wendy would go on to play Professor McGonagall in Harry Potter. Now, I'm 4 or 5 years old, when this movie's made, and I didn't have a concept that you could age people up with makeup and things like that.
Yeah.
When special effects came to actors, most my mind could comprehend was like a wig and glasses, that sort of thing. Maybe a rubber mask. But like when I sat forward and I saw her, I started crying. And my mother's like, "Why are you crying?" I said, "That's Granny Wendy." Like, I was so happy that I thought that she was dead. I thought whoever that actress was, I thought she was dead. And then there she is on the screen, very much alive. And I'm just like, and then I find out that she was fighting breast cancer while filming the series. I was just like, I love that woman. But anyways, not to get off on the sidebar, because I want to do a Harry Potter episode at some point. I don't care whether you know or like Harry Potter or not. I'll do it on my own. But
you can either do it solo, or we can get somebody else who's a big Harry Potter fan.
I'm sure we'll find one or two out there. But anyway, what about the Power Rangers? Where were you? I know a lot of people were into Power Rangers as a kid, especially the first gen Power Rangers.
I tried with the first generation. I didn't really get into it.
I liked the Power Rangers. I liked the concept of the robots and turning into the superheroes and all that stuff. But like, as I got older, and this is just me, I'm sure there's going to be people that are probably not going to agree with what I'm about to say, but I find Jason David Frank who played Tommy the Green Ranger, and then Tommy the every other color of the Rainbow Ranger as the series would progress. I find Jason David Frank to be an absolute tool bag that buys his own hype and goes out of his way to interject himself into situations that doesn't apply to him.
Fun fact, I used to work for several conventions. I worked for an anime con. I had to deal with him. He's a tool bag.
Thank you. That guy just strikes me as a diva. And he's a 12 million belt.
I will admit he's not I don't care. He was not the worst I had to deal with, but he was
high maintenance.
Very. There's a couple others I will not name.
So I am
one I'm really good friends with, and did voices on a show that I absolutely loved. And so
I'll out one because I have no shame. You remember years ago there was a movie called The Unforgiven? Or no, what was it was the Dillinger movie with Johnny Depp. Untouchable, not Untouchables. Damn it! Because I know I'm putting myself out there.
Well, I mean, you're talking to Captain Concussion here, so.
Oh God, what was that movie? I want to make sure I get it right. It was like 2007, because it was right around the time Allison and I started dating. Public Enemies, thank you. They shot Public Enemies in Crown Point, Indiana, actually right down the street from where we do Black Label now. There's an old-time jail there, and Johnny Depp came to Crown Point, Indiana, and Allison's brother-in-law was a part of the security on the set, and Johnny Depp apparently, and it's been years since this story. I'm sure that he's forgotten, but I remember him telling me that Johnny Depp sent a sandwich back a couple of times because he wanted his Subway sandwich done a certain way or whatever. I don't know if it was Subway, but it was like a club sandwich type of thing. And like the second time he sent it back, they did literally nothing to it, just sent the same sandwich back to him, and he said it was perfect. He did one of those to him. Now, there's also I say that just because I'm just making fun of him. I love Johnny Depp. There's also tons of stories. If you go back and look at that time of him, because it was like Wisconsin and here, and I think they went out to South Bend at one point. He was one of those that would go to the diners and he'd leave like $1,500 tips.
Yeah,
type of guy. So while I'm making fun of Johnny Depp for doing the sandwich thing, I have to also tip my cap to him for taking care of the waiters and waitresses, especially given what we're going through now, knowing that there are people out there like that will take care of our servers and things like that. So tip of the cap, but I'm still going to make fun of him for doing the sandwich thing.
Like I said, the person I don't want to name only because I love him dearly. I consider him a good friend because I was able to not only deal with him at conventions, but get to know him. He does 2 main character voices on this show and also dozens of other voices for this show. And I don't want to throw him under the bus, but he was so difficult at one con, and I had to look at him. I'm like, "You're being a bitch." And he just looked at me. He goes, "Nobody's ever said that to me." I was like, "I did."
Yeah.
And we became friends.
Yeah.
So,
and hey, but like I said, the more I listen to him talk, the more I just don't like Jason David Frank. And I was kind of hoping when he was going through his MMA thing that CM Punk would fight him, and just in my head, I was hoping he'd knock him out, even though probably it would have gone the other way. But
yeah,
just I was seeing his name too many times. It was bugging me.
Yeah. Like I was not a Power Rangers guy.
They lost me when they brought a kid in to be a Power Ranger, and he would morph and grow to be the size of an actual adult. It's this little 12-year-old. I'm the new Power Ranger. I'm like, no, you're not. Click.
Yeah, like some of those shows I just could not get into. I did have, like I said, I was a Nickelodeon kid, so I had an affinity for the game shows.
Dude, and many a night, Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy were the big two on in the house.
Yeah, but during the Alex day, Trebek. Yeah, that one sucked.
That hurt.
During the day, I had the Nickelodeon shows because there was Guts, Figure It Out. My absolute favorite was Legends of the Hidden Temple.
That was a good one.
That, man. So it's something the girlfriend and I have wanted to do, and we want to get a bunch of people together, is to dress up as contestants from Legends of the Hidden Temple. And I've got friends that have done it, so it's not that hard to do.
You bring up Legends of the Hidden Temple, and this is not Nickelodeon related, but it's a kids game show, right? Do you remember Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego at its 100%. Spin-off show, Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego?
And we're
chasing her through history.
I didn't watch that one, but I did watch Where in the World is Sandiego, because I remember at the very beginning, I can't remember, it's like the detective's like,
the acapella listen group.
Up, listen up, Gumshoes.
Yeah, it's very noir. Yep,
very noir, really. And I just there's an acapella group called Straight No Chaser, and they did a version of the Carmen Sandiego theme. The world is Carmen Sandiego.
Yep, such a good show.
And you knew a show was going to be great, and a show was great if to this day you can still play the theme song to it in your head.
Big Bad Beetleborgs. I never really liked the show, but Big Bad Beetleborgs. Big Bad Beetleborgs.
Some shows, like with the game shows, the theme song to Guts. Like that one that still sticks in my head.
I'm old enough to remember when Wheel of Fortune had a theme song, but they phased that out in the late 90s. I
had the little handheld Wheel of Fortune game that still had it on it.
Yeah.
That was how I passed many a time on road trips as a kid, was playing that. No, but with shows that I love that had great theme songs, I have to throw out Rocko's Modern Life, because the B-52s did the theme song.
Yeah. What about your TGIF fix? We all went through the TGIF phase. What was your go-to? Because mine was Family Matters. I loved me some Urkel.
The Drew Carey Show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Cleveland rocks. Cleveland rocks.
So, fun sidebar. The first official GCW show that I reffed, Joey Janela and Kevin Gill are on commentary. And I remember watching it back finally and hearing Joey Janela, "What's with this Drew Carey cosplayer? It's a referee."
I was just thinking you look like Drew Carey.
And it stuck with me for a while until we did the collective last year. And Kevin Gill came to me and he said, "Man, if you don't mind, I'm going to keep calling you Drew Carey." I'm like, there's something to this. So I had a shirt made where it's the old Drew Carey Show logo, but it's my face and it says referee Jesse Fields. Because I told him, I said, "Dude, I'm a huge fan of the Drew Carey Show. I loved that show."
I used to think the chick that played Kate was hot, man.
Oh, God. As she went on to be on Scrubs, too.
Yep.
She was Dr. Cox's wife.
She was a hottie, man. It's hot, like as far as a 12-year-old could, have a concept of that. But, like, because that and Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Dude,
not the terrible remake that's out now. I'm talking back when Drew was the...
You've got Ryan Stiles, Colin Mockery, Wayne Brady, Greg,
and whoever
Proops.
The fourth was going to be, but the big three were always there. But
you always had your big three.
And the one time they had Robin Williams on the show. Oh my heavens! I I wish I could have been in the audience to see the live taping, because there's got to be stuff of legend there that never saw the light of day.
I feel like there's got to be outtakes on YouTube
somewhere.
We're gonna have to do some research, but no, Drew Carey show for me, because I thought the show itself was entertaining. As a kid, I laughed at the concept of buzz beer.
Yeah.
And as an adult, I'm like,
why isn't there buzz beer?
There kind of is.
Yeah, they were ahead of their time, though.
Yeah, the slogan was "Stay up and get drunk again."
Yep.
And the great thing was PBR put out a hard coffee that was alcoholic coffee, and I was like, "This is the Drew Carey show right here."
Yeah.
This is 20 plus years in the making in this can, and I was just the show was so funny because Craig Ferguson was the boss.
Yeah,
he just everything about that show I found funny.
Interaction between Drew Carey and I forget the actress's name, but she played Mimi Bobek. But the interactions between those two,
Kathy Namji,
Najimy.
It
wasn't her.
That had to be her.
Okay, now we're both getting it. Hold on, Drew Carey show.
You're probably gonna beat me to it.
Probably, because I'm just awesome. There we go. Kathy Kenny.
Okay.
Mimi Bobek here. But anyway, the interactions...
Because I've been watching King of the Hill, that's why Kathy's sticking in my head.
The interactions between Drew and Kathy, as Drew and Mimi, you couldn't do on television now. Somebody would get offended by... God. Him making fun of her for her physical appearance and her just nailing him right back, calling him pig or whatever. And her makeup is just god awful. And just, she was amazing. I loved Mimi. I thought she was great.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, that's a show that it saddens me that there's not a streaming service that has it right now.
I believe it would, if I'm remembering correctly, it was originally with ABC.
Yep.
Which means it would fall under Disney's jurisdiction.
It's not on there.
Well, I don't see them rushing to put out that type of content per se, but I would think that the copyright falls with them unless Drew owns it. Maybe.
I'm not sure, but
that'd be interesting to find out who owns the copyright on the Drew Carey show, or at least the streaming rights.
Yeah, because that's a show that I would love to go
back and watch. I would binge that. As an adult, having lived some life now, go back and watch the Drew Carey show.
Well, it's there's an episode where Triple H and Chyna are on it.
Yeah, I remember Triple H and Chyna being on there. I remember Joe Walsh being big on there for a minute.
Oh man,
I remember who else was on there.
There was a lot of guest
stars. There was a pretty good revolving door, but man,
that was, I didn't care too much for a lot of those other sitcoms. Just me being me, I guess. But Drew Carey show, man, that was my go-to.
Probably one of the bigger ones. Just because the themes and just the metaphor to it and things like that. It's going to fall under the guilty pleasure, simply because a lot of people would that I've met when I bring it up absolutely recoil on it. But I know for a fact it's got a rabid fan base. Is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I will talk for days about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I freaking love Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and if I'm picking up the vibe here, we may have to do a Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode. Maybe. But I loved Buffy, and I loved Angel. Completely different shows. Angel is good for the sake of, you know how Resident Evil 2 had like the A and B scenarios? Yeah. Kind of has a little bit of that going on. But then it kind of got wonky because Buffy changed networks and Angel was still on the CW, but Buffy went to UPN, so they technically couldn't talk about each other. Things like that. But with Angel, it was fun because it kind of got darker and grittier, and there were just some fun characters. The main protagonist is an actual law firm that is a defender of evil. They are Evil Incorporated. And it's awesome watching the cat and mouse, because I do like legal dramas. Like, I remember growing up, we lived in my grandparents' house for a while.
Let me guess.
No. Well, that was on too, but the big one, this was what Grandpa liked to watch.
Law and Order.
Law and Order.
Yep.
Oh, dude, Jerry Orbach and Benjamin Bratt were like the first duo I remember on television.
Dude, I remember many times being home sick and they would be having Law and Order marathon. I just
same. In fact, SVU, when it was still Benson and Stabler, was my go-to. I loved me some SVU.
That show was so good.
Because I loved, speaking of, the right thing to do isn't always at the forefront. Chris Elliott is Stabler. He played that Razor's Edge so well. You never knew if this was going to be the perp that finally drove him over the edge to where he just started going vigilante justice on him. You just never knew.
Man, see, I did get into NCIS and those kind of shows, CSI.
I liked CSI, but I think CSI kind of ruined that genre a little bit, because everything became everything kind of started using that formula.
Well, I mean, it can be said about a lot of these shows, like the first few seasons are always good, but then at some point, a show continues on to a point where it's like you're beating a dead horse, you're fishing for content, and it's just, ugh. I stopped with NCIS after a few seasons because it just, the repetition.
Of the shows that would fall under the first responder, the life-saving genre, my favorite had to be ER.
That seems to be a
early ER before like the main stars left. Anthony Edwards and
Goose,
Noah Wiley, Goose, and George Clooney. A lot of people forget George Clooney was on ER. Like that was great. Juliana Margulies, Laura Linney. There was a lot.
Paul McCrane too.
Paul McCrane was great. He was a prick on that show.
I say that because the only reason I knew of him was because of a miniseries on HBO called From the Earth to the Moon, and he plays astronaut Pete Conrad.
I thought you were going to say because of RoboCop.
Nope. Funny enough, yeah. Like I was like, oh my god, that's the guy from ER and
Dr. Romano.
Yep.
Yeah, but
he had like the craziest death scene too.
Yeah, he got killed by a helicopter that fell off
after getting his arm chopped off by a helicopter.
Yeah, he in fact he had just done something uncharacteristically nice, because like the whole run of the show he was just an antagonistic little shit of a prick, and then I it's been so long since I've seen it, but he did something that was just like you got up and you applauded for him, like yeah, and then he's outside and the helicopter falls on him and he dies. Yep. And it's like, they do the baby face turn and then
and going back and actually having watched ER, then watching From the Earth to the Moon, the episode that he's in, it's like I kind of see the dick behavior. I think it's just him in general.
Yeah, he's got a heel face too. He's got a little rat face.
He does.
But dude, ER had a pretty decent theme in its own right. Go back and watch that. That was banger. I say that, then I gotta mention MASH. Obviously it was off before I was born, but
my girlfriend is obsessed with
Goodbye,
MASH.
Farewell, and Amen.
Dude, that show, it could be funny and it could be serious.
When people start talking about biggest shows ever, and a show will end, and it's this huge loss to television, and this and that. I'm like, oh yeah, what's it rate? What was the final rating for that show? What did their finale draw? Oh, it only pulled that in. Go look at it. It didn't even come close to a fraction of what MASH did. Don't talk to me until it can get close to MASH's numbers.
The fact that MASH lasted 2 times as long as the Korean War itself.
Yeah. And again, you want to talk about those content that may or may not have been passable today. You probably couldn't do MASH.
No. God, no.
No.
Corporal Klinger?
Corporal Klinger is hilarious to me. And the fact that you could get away with the man cross-dressing then and nobody get upset about, what it's intimating at or could possibly be saying, and it was, you were just given, okay, this guy doesn't want to be there, so he's trying to get the crazy card or whatever so he can go home. That's it. That's all it was.
That's all it is.
But yeah, I have to mention MASH just because, again, banger of a theme. But getting a little bit back to modern times, I do have to throw the Pokemon cartoon out there, at least the first season.
Okay.
Because that was good.
That was okay, so that's the show. That is, to this day, I absolutely loved Pokemon. I still love it, but I'm in I'll stop at the very beginning of Gen 3. I could tolerate the Generation 2 stuff, but at a point, I was like, I stopped collecting the cards.
I feel like it's appropriate. Man, probably the greatest cartoon theme of all time.
So, since I was tiptoeing around it, the person that was a diva, who is also a friend of mine, happens to be Eric Stewart, the voice of Brock and James from Pokemon.
Really?
And countless other Pokemon voices. And I have a great Eric Stewart story.
Do you mind if I continue playing the theme in the back? I just feel like it's appropriate.
So many moons ago, I think this was 2014, right before my ex and I just went through a bad breakup, and the ex that I got with, I'm still very good friends with. She worked with me at the convention, and she was Eric's handler. And she was like, hey, Eric wants to go eat. You want to go hang out with us? I'm like, sweet, let's go. So we're riding in the car to go to Cracker Barrel because he wants breakfast food at 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
Okay.
Great thing. I didn't care. It's Cracker Barrel. I'm happy. So he's telling us all these cool stories, and he's like, oh yeah, so anytime I had to do Squirtle's water gun, I had to do it each time. They couldn't just record it and use it because there was different variations. And we're getting to Cracker Barrel and conversations going something else. And my ex Robin is walking in front of me. Eric's behind me. And as I go to open the door, he does the water gun. And I just go right in the door. Because I'm laughing. And he's like, got him. And he made it a point. Anytime I was not paying attention, this was at after parties or around the convention, walking on the floor, he would sneak up behind me and he would do Squirtle's water gun, and it would immediately kill me.
Did you at least ask him what his starter would be?
Squirtle.
Of course. As was mine. I always felt, at least as far as Gen 1 went, the water Pokemon, the water type was the most practical across the game. Everybody said start with a Bulbasaur because, it makes the first bosses easy. Yeah, it's true. But by Gym 3, he's completely useless. Then you take him to fight the Elite Four, and take a Venusaur up there. You'll get clapped, sir. That's a waste.
I don't think playing the original handheld games that I finished with a starter. I always ended up using whatever I caught later on.
Oh, especially if I had Charmander or Squirtle, I always had them in my party because I liked having the variety of different types. But I always
try to have the different. I always try to have a rock type, a psychic type, electric.
Psychic for sure. Psychic and electric were the bangers.
Trying to catch a damn Abra.
Sleep powder, and then you just do the trick where you open with him and just because he levels up pretty quick. And once he evolves into Kadabra, it's game over. You don't even need to evolve him in Alakazam. But yeah, like once you get the psychic Pokemon, especially if it's a Kadabra or a Drowsy, and they learn Confusion. Oh, dude, you just walk through them because they are effective against everything but psychic Pokemon, and that's it. At least as far as early gens went. Obviously,
and then
changed, but
and then you get to like the newer gen games where some of those mechanics are there, but they realize like
they had to balance it a little bit.
Got to balance the game.
Yeah, because psychic, if you had a psychic Pokemon, you were set.
I forgot which game it was. It's one of the newer ones, and one of the gym leaders has a milk tank.
Oh God! Don't even. He's freaking gold and silver. Oh my God!
Unless you got the
damn rollout move that he did.
Yep. Unless you got the Machop, like through the trade or whatever, like it was next to impossible to beat that.
In fact, you said Miltank, and this went through my head. Oh, come on. I heard this. God! Of course, I'm sorry. I said Miltank, and I just did the flashback.
Yep.
You know, the fortunate son, you know. That Miltank drove me up a wall. There was that, and I'm old enough to remember. Remember when you would try to catch the legendary birds in the first game, and it's on Game Boy? I remember a couple of times getting burned by the batteries, dying before I could get out of the fight after finally catching the damn thing. The battery dying before I could even save my game. Dude,
distinctly remember destroying a DS because of Miltank. Evil. I had frisbeed it so hard into a wall because I was so pissed off.
This thing's about to Peter Pan right off of this roof right here. Oh my God. Oh, we need to stop talking about Miltank, dude. I don't need that kind of negativity in my mind before I go to bed.
You're gonna have to bump up your case with the VA with PTSD with that one.
Ooh, why do you have PTSD? Miltank. Yes, sir. Come this way. 100%,
sir.
This is our critical ward right here. You know.
And 100%. Here's your back pay.
Oh man, no doubt there. But anyways, getting back on to TV shows, we just went completely off the deep end. Sorry. Hey. We said at the outset of this that we will go in any direction at any point. We're both sober
too. That's the problem.
But oh God, and we were going to record that episode of the WWE or the wrestling themes. A lot of them will be WWE themes, I'm sure. But once we got to those guests that we're going to announce here in a little bit, plans have changed, but we're still going to do a drunk episode where we talk about our favorite wrestling themes. But anyway, lately it's definitely been like I said, Cobra Kai and The Boys, but I had been jamming to Game of Thrones, even with the shitty last season.
Didn't watch it.
I liked House of Cards. I really got into that.
I saw bits and pieces of it.
I liked Kevin. I've already forgotten his name because Kevin Spacey, because he's no longer a part of our society. I liked him as Francis Underwood. I loved just how ruthless that character was, and then as time went on, and that show was definitely I don't want to use the word victim because of everything that went down. That show definitely had to pivot off of losing him in that show before. I think they were planning on killing him, but I don't think that they planned on doing it off screen. But that was such a well-written show and very good cat and mouse. So I liked that one, and obviously Orange is the New Black, as I mentioned earlier.
Okay, so I'm kind of curious, like, Now, what live action shows, like say from like the mid 2000s, because there was a lot of really good ones that were like 2002, 2003, that you got into?
At that point, it was either Buffy or it was wrestling for me. I really didn't, because I would have been big into like the crude tunes, your South Parks, your Family Guys, things like that. But like,
I got into 24.
Okay, I know a lot of people did.
Something about that show, I was hooked on it.
I would say, I don't know about a lot of live action shows at that point that really got to me. There might have been something I've gone back and watched later that might have been, but nothing's coming to mind at this point. I think she kind of got me into House a little bit.
Oh, dude.
I liked Hugh Laurie. In fact, I went as him for Halloween one year. I went to a community college and you had to check into the door and like you got to dress up, and I just put on like a suit and I had a cane, and my name was Dr. House, and you check in, I'm like, I'm Dr. House. I'm only here because I couldn't afford to go to Harvard. Something like that. Just something snarky. And yeah, definitely I liked House. Yeah.
Oh man. And again, that's another one of those shows that had a absolute banger song for the intro.
Yeah.
Massive Attack, Teardrop.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have it on my phone, and anytime it comes up, I play the intro in my head.
Okay, so I don't know that it would count as like a live action, but Chappelle's Show.
Oh, 100%.
Chappelle's Show. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And a lot of it we're not going to be able to talk about because it could get a little funky.
The only thing I can reference is game
blouses. Clayton Bigsby, The Draft, Wayne Brady, his time with
Wayne Brady have to choke a bitch?
Yeah, Mr. Franklin's lonely.
I will quote that one, and the other one, and I have it as a video clip that I'll send to people when like something goes on. It's like, why? Because fuck them. That's why.
Y'all got any more of them? Whatever, the crack. Let me tell you something you may not know about me, Joe Rogan. I smoke rocks.
It's like, hey, have you ever wondered what dog food tastes like? It tastes just like it smells. Delicious.
The Time Haters.
Man. That show is
Mad Real World, though, has to be up there. Oh my god, dude. You want to talk about just taking a concept and then flipping it completely on its ear? Mad Real World does that. If you don't know what I mean and haven't seen Chappelle's Show, I believe it's finally on Netflix. Again, go watch it on Netflix. The Chappelle Show, you'll be, if you've never seen it before and only heard the rumors, you'll wonder how the hell we got away with what we did 15 years ago.
Again, that is one of those shows that I would belly laugh. I would like laugh until I hurt. Just because he's just so funny.
Oh man. But a lot of it you can't really say in a civilized forum, shall we say.
It's like that with a lot of stand-up comedy that I like. It's like, man, some of this is kind of pushing
I discovered Sam Kinison well after he died, and I belly laughed at him. You want to talk about just raunchy comedy? Him, Andrew Dice Clay, George Carlin.
Ooh. I was gonna say George Carlin to me is like the quintessential, like he's top tier with Richard Pryor for realism and honesty, but just being absolutely hilarious and doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, man. Those are probably. Oh, pardon me.
But but somebody that you and I both love as an actor, and it's just his stand-up is so fantastic, is Robin Williams.
Robin Williams, live on Broadway. It's probably the big one. It's probably the most pop culture one, is that one. I'm sorry, him using his hairy forearm as, as a
that whole
that is just
that's funny,
brilliant.
But the one that stands out to me is him describing the invention of golf.
Yes, go back and watch Robin Williams talking about golf and his Scottish accent. It's
gonna hit it with a crooked stick and you're gonna knock it into a golfer hole. Oh, you only do this one time? Fuck no! 18 fucking times.
As only Robin Williams could do. Oh my goodness. I can't wait to do the Robin Williams episode, because that's gonna be a laugh a minute, I'm sure.
I sent you a video earlier and I knew you would appreciate it. Because it was Robin Williams related.
Mm-hmm. I didn't get a chance to watch it. I was having dinner. But given what we watched later, I probably would have been okay. Dude, that then there was always wrestling, obviously. Like the mid 2000s was a lot of reruns and looking for old shows that I used to like. I didn't really have a strong affinity for a lot of what was on television. Mm-hmm. But I definitely have kind of gotten back into it a little more, especially with streaming services being what they are and, things of that nature. But I would have to say that right now my big one is obviously going to be The Boys and Cobra Kai. I remember Cobra Kai hooked me with the trailer. They sold me on the concept immediately, and I watched the first episode and I was like, oh, this is gonna be big. And I was right. But I cannot wait. I know they're shooting season 4 right now. There won't be as long of a wait between seasons like there was this time, because they're not changing streaming services, I hope.
Okay. So what is something that is kind of like you'll go to as like watch a couple episodes as a feel good, just like I need a good laugh right now, or I need to watch something familiar?
King of the Hill.
As it's been playing in the living room for the most part.
King of the Hill, or actually, I've kind of gone back and I have a modded Fire Stick. There's a channel that does 24/7 in living color. On that Fire Stick and I am actually going to take this opportunity to say to all of our listeners out there that I believe wholeheartedly, just as I believe that the sun is hot and ice is cold, that in living color was better creatively in all other ways than both Mad TV and most of Saturday Night Live, specifically anything after 2003. Everything after that,
I'll give it to you.
And all of Mad TV, I will absolutely put living color up against a lot of that. I can't put it up against the days of Murray and Murphy and Chevy
Gilda
Chase.
Radner.
Yeah, I can't put it up against the golden era, the OGs. But what could? But like, yeah, you look at what you want to talk about, a show ahead of its time. I wish they would bring in living color back.
So that was something my roommate and I were talking about probably about a week ago, because I was like, man, it kind of sucks that it's not on a streaming service. And he goes, well, you got to look at how the show was,
and you got to look into some back alley ways of getting hold of it too.
Pirate Bay. Yep. But man, that I hate to say it, my mom let me watch that, and there were things that I quoted from that I should never have quoted.
I was too young during its heyday to really understand the jokes, so it didn't really like catch my attention. But again, I was in Germany one time and with my army unit, and we needed something to watch during downtime, and that was on there, and I took one. I was like, what is this? And I think it was either Homie the Clown or it was Fire Marshal Bill.
Those are two that I quote, but
let me show you something.
Let me show you something. I used to do that as a kid, and it would crack my mom up. The one thing that I will consistently say from that show, whenever somebody asks me to do something or I don't want to do it, and I look, I'm like, Homie the Clown don't play that.
Homie don't play that.
Homie don't play that. And like a minute group of people know what I'm talking about. It's just, man, I feel like we got lucky with some of the shows that we had in the 90s. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of classics from the way back when's. Like at night, if I didn't sleep, I could turn on my TV, and Nick at Night had I Love Lucy, Mary Tyler Moore, The Newhart Show, Happy Days, F Troop, Bewitched. So like I kind of grew up watching a lot of those older shows. So I just had an appreciation for, I guess, that kind of comedy, and you know, I just always have had a taste for older stuff. But there were times where I would change the channels, and late at night and Living Color would be on, or something. I think sometimes I'd catch a Saturday Night Live or something else from, late 80s, early 90s, whatever reruns were on. So, unfortunately, I think that influenced my sense of humor as an adult, for better or for worse.
But that's not to say I don't love like Mad TV. Like, we've done the Lowered Expectations thing, and Baby Stewart and things like that. Always made me laugh. But
those are like go-tos.
Oh, dude.
And Miss Swan.
Speaking of things you cannot do now, you will never ever see that happen again. If the
Alex Borstein was so great
Miss Swan. Woo, so good, but so not okay.
And like I said, Michael McDonald and Mo Collins with Stewart and his mom, just absolutely.
What about the Vancombe lady? You know what? Oh, can't do it. Can't do it
these days.
Oh god, just so many good shows and stuff we had.
See, now that kind of brings up like a serious question. Like, does that make us bad people for enjoying that? Because that seems to be a hot button topic, because nowadays, like, you can't say that you liked a particular thing because of the subject matter. It's like, oh, well, that makes you a bad person. It's like, no, you know how to laugh at a situation. You don't take it seriously. I think people take themselves too seriously at times.
I will double down on that and say people do take themselves too seriously. Jesse, do you try your best every day to be the best person you can be to your fellow man and everyone around you?
Absolutely.
Then who the fuck cares?
That's the thing. Like, the worst thing about life is taking it too seriously.
Thank you.
And you have to laugh at a situation. Unfortunately,
life without humor is a very sad, cold, dark, lonely place. And if you can't take a second to stop and laugh at the stupidity of everything around you and go, you know what? I'm giving this too much power.
That's that's my coping mechanism when I'm in a stressful situation or a painful situation. I try to revert back to some sort of humor. I hate to bring it up, but it literally, the day that we found my dad and we're wheeling him out on a gurney, I just look over at my sister. I'm like, God, this would be so damn funny if his fucking body fell off this gurney right now. Just having that.
Oh, dude.
Just having that thought of like, man, this would be so funny though.
I've been saying lately, like, if I died tomorrow, don't cry for me. Don't you dare cry for me. Don't you dare
don't cry for Argentina.
Yeah. Don't you dare put me in that box. Don't you dare put that terrible makeup on me. No. The Kimbe. No. Viking.
No.
Viking funeral pyre. Put the ashes in a jar. Take that jar. Put it on a throne with a stupid crown or a jester's hat. Grab a plate of food. Grab your drink of choice, and you proceed to have the roast of Jeremy, because I don't ever want to go to a sad, weepy, cry funeral. That is the worst thing on earth. The last thing I want is for people crying over my dead corpse. I'm not there. I want you to do what I wish I could do to you in that situation, and that's tell the meanest, silliest story about you I can possibly muster up. Because I believe that it should be a celebration of life and not this heartbreaking, just absolute massive sadness that it's become. Roast me twice.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like at the funeral, I could not be in the main room, but I stood out in the hall greeting people, and I used my humor to handle the situation until I had no choice, because I had both Cassie and Robin there with me, and it was just that's when the humor finally, I couldn't do it anymore. But the thing is, like,
it's okay to laugh.
That's the thing. Like, there's always humor in something, and we're in such a day and age where you can't laugh at something because it offends somebody, and it's human nature. Like, you're gonna laugh at a fart. I don't care who you are, farts are funny.
It's true.
But you can't do that now. You can't make fart jokes because it offends people. And sometimes you need to laugh at something. Laugh at a situation. Laugh at whatever. It's humor. People, that's humor is what makes everybody come together. It's like, you tell a good joke, everybody in the room's laughing.
Everybody remembers the joke. They're like, oh, dude, that guy's hilarious. That dude's a good time. Whatever. But
unless you're Nick Iggy and you tell horrible jokes.
Are they dad jokes or just horrible jokes?
Dad jokes.
Dad jokes are the best jokes. I love them.
Well, see, he did one at King of Trios where he stopped a match to tell the joke, and somebody cut him off and gave the finish, and it was... But the reaction is, it's funny. You're laughing.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're trying to get at here, is that some people, they need the humor to continue to go. It's not necessarily for you, the listener, so much as is the person delivering.
Yeah.
And I think that gets lost sometimes on people. We do kind of live in a selfish society where we think that everything's about us. It's not.
Yeah, and
damn it, Brett, not everything's about you.
I hate that it got all serious, but
yeah,
no, the whole thing was like, okay, so you're sad or upset, like, what the show that you can... I'm just going to toss on an episode I've seen a lot, or I've seen a good few times, and I know the dialogue and the characters and the delivery is going to make me laugh. And like I said, you said King of the Hill. I can say that with the animated shows, but my honest go-to feel-good show, Letterkenny.
Haven't seen it. Just haven't gotten around to it.
And this is the point where Ayers is going to pop up. Like,
did I ever tell you about the time that he completely blew a gasket on me because I told him I had never seen National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation? Yeah, he had a look just like that on his face, and then his eyes started twitching. He's like, "Hold on!" He literally dropped. I don't know what he was doing, and he said to his wife, "He has not seen it. I don't care that it's October. We're watching it right now." And we immediately watched that damn thing. He had almost had an aneurysm.
Bless him so much, because that movie is so
it's funny. I just had never watched it.
The fact that it took you, when did you finally watch it?
This was
years ago,
a few years back. I'd say 2017. I was about 29, 30 years old.
That's the gift that keeps on giving, Clark.
Well, the shitter was full. What,
dude, you want to talk about something that I quote on the regular? It is
Lampoon.
It is that, and like I said, from National Lampoon's Vacation, I will quote the "Sorry, folks, park's closed. Moose out front. Should have told you."
Yep.
Because Chevy Chase was such a
talk about dry humor. That dude was so dry in his deliveries.
But on Saturday Night Live, man, is so good. The Land Shark.
Land Shark.
Mm-hmm. That is something that I do when I knock on somebody's door at a hotel or whatever. I go, Land Shark. Anagram.
Land Shark. Hey. Oh man, dude! Looking at this, have we seriously been going 2 hours? Wow. Two skis. Do you think it's time? Do we finally get to the main event? Have we tortured them enough with undercard talent that they didn't pay to see?
Honestly, like, I hate to say it, like,
do we send the flippy kids out there for a 10-minute indie-rific match?
That can kill a crowd.
Triple Canadians off the top rope, forwards and backwards.
So I'm gonna hit a super kick. You're gonna feed around, hit me with a cutter. You're gonna feed back around. We're gonna do a Canadian, and we're both gonna have fighting spirit, and then
schoolboy for the win.
Schoolboy for the win.
Three-way schoolboy. Figure it out.
Yep.
No, three-way small package. Even
Pulse
better.
Package.
Pulse package. Yep.
Gonna rock.
All right. We're very sorry that we went on a 2-hour ramble about all of that.
My thing is, like, I know that when it's just you and I feel like that's fine. Like, if we have a guest, we need to stay kind of
like, I don't in that vein, yes, but I also don't like having rules to this. There's
people the people that we know that listen to this, like, I want to believe that they enjoy the tangents, because
you actually did that. Bless you. Oh, bless your soul.
If you're from the South and somebody says, "Bless your heart," that's not a compliment.
No, it's not. I know that. That's why I said it.
I want to believe that anybody.
I swear we're completely sober. I swear to you.
That was a cappuccino that I was drinking to keep myself awake.
Jesus Christ, was it Irish?
No, I have not got into the good stuffs.
No, got into the good skis.
Yeah, not yet.
Anyway.
But no, I really hope that this is like a car trip. This is like sitting with the boys where we want to talk about something, but then somebody hits a sidebar, and then you're like, oh, that's... And
squirrel!
We are ADHD kids.
Maybe we should call this the Zebra ADHD podcast. I don't know.
I'll come up with something. But if we go for 2 hours and somebody wants to listen to the whole 2 hours of us, hey, you remember this? Hey, you remember that?
Nope, it's probably not.
It's what we do on car trips. It's what we do in the locker room. And I feel like whoever listens to this is now like, we know Dan Spencer listens to it.
Hi, Dan.
I feel like he's going to suddenly be like, oh my God, they talked about that one show. Hey, do you remember that show that my buddies brought it up? Like, and then it's going to start a conversation. I feel like uh, our rabbit holes are going to suddenly, I in my mind, that we're going to magically make a lot of people suddenly start caring about a lot of obscure stuff again, just so that way it becomes relevant.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, I think that we have made our loyal audience listen for long enough, or made them stop and pause and come back often enough that we can finally do the announcement. We have.
I forgot we have an announcement.
Oh yeah, through all of that, what was the announcement? No, we have 3 very special guests lined up for you, starting with the next episode and continuing across. I'm not entirely certain how we're going to release them. I'm thinking maybe the first episode we'll record Sunday night and we'll drop Monday. The next episode we'll record Monday night and we'll drop Wednesday. And then the third episode we'll record Wednesday night and drop Saturday. But who are those 3 guests? Why aren't I saying the name yet? Well, it's because I wanted you to live in a little bit of suspense, because I'm a sadist, I think. Is it a masochist? I don't know. Anyway, we here at Zebra, at the Pop Goes the Zebra podcast, are very pleased to announce that our next 3 guests are going to be, probably in order, Rob King, a very good friend of mine from Warrior. You know him from NWA. Just absolute wonderful human being. I can't wait to cut it up with him and listen to life through his eyes. I know, Jesse, you've worked with him several times.
Rob, no.
I thought you said you'd worked with him a few times.
Nope, I've not had the privilege to work with Rob.
I could have sworn. My mistake. Well, then I'm looking forward to that introduction and interaction. Our next guest is a friend of mine from back in the day. He is a promoter out of Wisconsin. He is a professional wrestler out of Wisconsin. And he is also a former service member who has a very interesting backstory there. Bulletproof Ben McCoy will be joining us to talk about his life through wrestling, to talk about his life through his eyes, and all things in between. I cannot wait for that one. Ben's just a great guy. I haven't talked to him in a while. I'm looking forward to doing the reconnect, but definitely a story that deserves to be told. And then finally, this just got finalized today. It is going to happen. We tried to make it happen early on in the show, and things just kind of fell through to where we couldn't do it. But we are happy to announce the third and final guest. And I'm giving Jesse full credit on this because he's the one that worked it the most. We are pleased to announce that Kid Ref, Chris Levin, is going to be here for Saturday morning's show. I am so happy to finally get him on here. Man, we are about to just drop some awesome sauce on all of it.
We are going to spend an hour talking about how great Cracker Barrel is.
At least an hour. We could go through that whole you know what? One of us is going to have to do an undercover recon to a Cracker Barrel, walk out with that menu, and we're just going to have to do like a little separate episode where we just go item by item by item, just talking about why this item is excellent.
Do not tempt me, because in between the IWTV live stuff that I'm doing this weekend, I will be partaking in the barrel because it is essential. When I do TV and pay-per-view and all that stuff, I have to have the barrel.
And you know what's going to be the hardest part about all of this, Jesse? You know what the hard part's going to be?
What?
The fact that we're going to sit on this episode. It's Wednesday night. We're recording this. We're actually going to sit on this episode for a couple of days until it drops Saturday morning. So the news is not going to break for days. Woof. But I cannot wait to pick up this phone right here and drop that knowledge to the world, because I have been chomping at the bit to get some excellent guests because we had such a good time with Steve. We both said we got to get more guests, and we took a little time to come up with our list of who we wanted to get, and then of course you got to reach out and get them scheduling, things like that. We're finally seeing the fruits of that labor come to fruition, so we're very excited to bring this to you. I'm so upset that I'm getting worked up right before I'm trying to go to bed because I got to get up for the gym in the morning, and 5:45 comes awfully early. But I am like, I think I told you in the when we were talking about it today, I was literally bouncing up and down in the car, just like giddy at all the stuff that was just kind of coming through at once.
Yeah, it was fun trying to get all that arranged while I was at work handling the situation that I had to handle, trying to I got to do this. And
Mike Sorrentino was there? Speaking of which, I hate to cut you off, but I'm so upset that I didn't mention that that is an absolute guilty pleasure of mine, Jersey Shore.
Yeah, we really didn't hit the guilty pleasures, honestly. But
yeah, we'll come back to it, but Jersey Shore.
Here's something I feel like we need to start doing with all of our guests. The topics that we discuss
and bring them individual back. Episodes. I was actually thinking about that today.
It's like, hey, so this is what we do. What's a guilty pleasure in the car? What's a guilty pleasure movie-wise?
Guilty pleasure food, guilty pleasure movie, guilty pleasure TV show, guilty pleasure song, things like that. Definitely things we'll have to hit.
I do know, because this did come up on a podcast. I know one song that Chris is gonna to bring up, and I just
no reruns. Fuck that.
No, I hate
that.
I just hope he sings it this time.
Oh, well, then that's different. If he sings it, it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure he's got a wonderful singing voice. I am looking forward to all of our guests. I cannot wait. Jesse, before we go, do you have any parting words?
Kind
of like last week.
Do not eat the yellow snow.
Watch out where them Huskies go. I actually added a verse to that because I read somewhere that this stadium actually had a sign that said, "Please do not eat any snow that you may find around the stadium. It may contain COVID." So I was standing next to my friend Justin, who's a big Zappa fan, and I said, "Hey, check this out." And he's reading. I said, "Watch out where those Huskies go. Don't you eat the COVID snow."
Yeah, I feel like I should. You've got your sign off, but I feel like I'm definitely I want to have my parting words of wisdom, but I feel like my go-to is always going to be do not add to the population.
I was hoping this would be
it. Do not subtract from the population. Do not be the reason why we have a safety briefing in the morning.
Amen. So
to piggyback off what the commander said.
There it is. Extra points right there. This man gets it. Don't ever be that person in formation that just wants to piggyback. It's time to go home. Final formation means it's time to go home. Don't add to the formation. You had all day. You have the cell phone. Send it out in a text message. With that being said, I want to bid you all a pleasant night and have a pleasant evening.
And before we end this commander's call, I would like to piggyback off of what the commander said.
Whoa! Military bearing goes out the window when you start piggybacking off the commander. Stop it now!